What's going on, guys? I'm Zach from the Lumios Post, where we talk about all things Pokemon, and today we will be talking about the newest introduced Pokemon for Scarlet and Violet. That is, of course, Bellibolt, the Elefrog Pokemon. And, yeah, we're going to be talking about why this thing will be competitive, a thing we've been doing for a bunch of Pokemon with Scarlet and Violet, a thing we plan to keep doing for Scarlet and Violet. So, let's get into it. So, let's talk about the basics first. Bellibolt is an electric type. I gotta say, I'm upset about that. I was really hoping electric water. That's just a really cool typing. And, you know, it's only in Lantern and Rotom Wash. But Bellibolt is pure electric. Its abilities are Static, an ability we know and love, and Electromorphosis. And you may be like, what's Electromorphosis? And I will answer you, friend. Electromorphosis is a brand new ability that is seemingly only on Bellibolt for the time being, and it is when Bellibolt becomes charged when it's hit by an attack. So it boosts the power of the next electric type move it uses. So, for example, it actually demonstrates that a Psyduck used Aqua Tail on Bellibolt, and Bellibolt's ability activated, which means that his next electric move is stronger. So it's kind of like Flash Fire, but a very watered down version of it, or more powerful version of it, the way you look at it. Instead of just boosting its electric moves for the rest of the battle, it only boosts the next electric move. But instead of it only being hit by electric moves to charge it, it would be hit by any move and it will charge it. So that's actually pretty cool. Now let's talk potential stats. So Bellibolt is a bigger boy, you know, people are comparing it to Chansey in a lot of ways, and I think we could see that reflected in its stats. I could see it being a much more bulky Pokemon, probably not very fast. I'm actually people are comparing it to Chansey, but to be honest, my head is immediately going to Snorlax. Like, that's kind of what I'm expecting the stat layout for this thing to be like. Now, I will say I could see it being a physical or a special attacker. More often than not, electric types are special attackers, but there are a few physical electric types in there as well, and maybe that could be the case for Bellibolt. I could certainly see it like utilizing things like Body Slam and Body Press, like it getting those moves, because again, it's kind of talks about like its belly and all this, and just heavy Snorlax vibes is what I'm picking up from this. But now let's get into the moves, and we're going to play around with both sides of the field here. First, we're going to start with the potential that Bellibolt could be a electric special attacker. So Bellibolt is, you're going to want to give it Thunderbolt. Depending on its learn set, Volt Switch would be a really viable option here, because pivoting, that tends to be an effective thing to do in the metagame. Bellibolt also could potentially be getting some water moves. We see a lot of the time that there are Pokemon that are aquatic but are not water type, things like Malamar or Pincurchin or Grapploct, that are able to get access to a bunch of water moves. I could certainly see that being the case with Bellibolt. In the terms of special water moves, perhaps we could see it get something like Scald, which would be really cool, because then you can pair things with Thunderbolt, or you can even use Scald to get burns. Another thing to think about too is we don't know Bellibolt's hidden ability. If it gets something like Swift Swim and it kind of has the stats to back it up, and we're wrong about it not being speedy and it actually is speedy, then Rain Dance would be a viable option on this thing, and then give it Thunder so it can get 100% accurate Thunders, as well as getting kind of a boost to its Scald attack. So a lot of options there. Other things I could see it being learned is because it talks about sounds from its belly. I could see it learning some sound moves, say things like Boom Burst. Obviously, an electric type sound move would be Overdrive. I don't know if it would get that, but it does kind of look like a little record disc there in the middle, so I don't know, maybe I could see that. Maybe I could see it getting Overdrive, which would be pretty cool as well. Now let's talk about if this thing is a physical attacker. So the number one thing that physical electric types suffer from is that there are not great physical electric type moves. Raichu gets Volt Tackle, and that's pretty good. Wild Charge is a lesser version of Volt Tackle. It's okay, but there could be better. And there's Thunder Punch and Thunder Fang, but maybe this thing will get Thunder Punch. I don't see it getting Thunder Fang. And to be honest, again, we need a little more than that. So I will say probably Wild Charge is the best thing to go here. I would hope that there's like new electric physical moves that this thing can take more advantage of. But assuming that is not the case, we're going to slap on Wild Charge here. Even though it's a special attack, depending on its stats, again, Volt Switch might be a viable option here. If it doesn't get a lot of moves, Volt Switch is just a solid move to slap on there. Now, if we look at egg moves, again, we're thinking about this thing being potentially having some access to water-type moves. Aqua Jet could be an option on there, and priority moves for something that is potentially slow but hits hard, which is what I'm kind of leaning towards Bellibolt being, as that's the case for Snorlax. Aqua Jet could be pretty broken. We could also be seeing this thing pick up Bounce, but in a post-Dynamax metagame, I don't know how effective moves like that will be, because, of course, the issue you run with that move is you're then locked into it, and they can easily switch to get around it, your opponent can. But in Dynamax, it actually was effective. I actually ran and made it really, really far using it and ranked and stuff. A Dragonite with Fly, because it was able to avoid the max moves. But there are no max moves anymore, so I don't know how effective that will be. Other water moves it could potentially get is Liquidation, kind of going back to it, maybe getting Aqua Jet. It could also probably get Liquidation. And we could potentially see it getting some ground moves as well, as they like to hand those off to them. So for the special attacking side, Earth Power. For the physical attacking side, Earthquake could be pretty deadly on this thing. Now we gotta state the obvious. We can't talk about physical attacking moves without talking about Belly Drum. While this move doesn't do damage, it cuts the Pokemon's HP in half to max its attack, which would be solid if this thing truly does have Snorlax stats. I mean, once you do that, it's potentially game over, especially with the electric type really only having one weakness. It's a common weakness, but only having one weakness. And then, you know, you run the potential of putting an air balloon on it, and you might be able to just get away with doing whatever you want. So let's move into items now on that note. Again, air balloon, depending on stats, could be a good one. Depending on its stats, honestly, Focus Sash, if it's more speedy and doesn't hit too hard, or doesn't take hits too well, I should say, Focus Sash would be good. I don't think that'll be the case for this guy. I'm also thinking that potentially Leftovers could be really annoying on it, or Papa Berries, things like that that are going to recover its health. I'm hoping it gets access to Recover or some kind of similar move, because I'm really just imagining Snorlax stats. I cannot express that enough. So we're going to close this video out here, but be sure to let me know what you think of Bellibolt. I hated it when I first saw it, but after seeing gameplay footage of it, I think it looks actually pretty cool. So very excited to see it in action. Let me know, do you like Bellibolt? Will you be using it in competitive? And let me know if you'll be using it on your team just playing through the games of Scarlet and Violet. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe so you stay up to date on all our future competitive analysis videos, as well as just other videos on the channel. I think we have some cool stuff here. Until next time, I will see all of you later.